Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Emma's Masterclass, Build a Hassle-Free International Music Business with the Estonian E-Residency, with Head of Partnerships of Estonian E-Residency, Raimo Matvere. It's really great to see so many of you here. My name is Michelle Ronquillo, and I am Emma's event manager. Just a little bit about us. Within Emma, we unite music managers organizations across 13 European countries, which represent more than 2,000 managers across Europe. We've made it our mission to strengthen European managers globally through the Empower program, which encompasses education, advocacy, networking, and research. If you want to know more, please follow us on our social media. Make sure to visit our website and to sign up for our newsletter. You can find the links in the chat in a little bit. Also, when you log off Zoom at the end of the session, a super brief survey will pop up. Please take a moment to fill it out, as your feedback is really important to us. I'm going to share the agenda of today. Please bear with me for a little bit. So today's session will be moderated by our executive director, Jess Patridge, who hopefully you already know. And yes, we will have the opportunity for you to ask some questions. Please add them to the chat and we will make sure that they get answered. And without further ado, let's get into it. Jess, over to you.
Thanks so much. Welcome everyone to this slightly unusual session, but really extremely important and useful. We're hosting this today partly because Emma is registered through the Estonian E-Residency. So we personally have experience of how great, hassle-free, and like how much potential this has for everybody. So we're really excited to have this collaboration with the Estonian E-Residency themselves. And we can also give I'll also be giving some insight about our experience, and also because we obviously did a lot of research before we embarked upon the E-Residency, so why we chose it and how it compares to other options. So Raimo, I'm going to let you go ahead with the presentation, explain more about what the E-Residency is, what it means, and who it's for. So I'll let you take it away if that's okay.
Good afternoon. Yes, it's very nice to see and hopefully meet you one day as well. Yes, indeed, I'm Raimo from Estonian E-Residency team. I work there as a head of partnerships, and one of the topics I'm dealing with is also trying to figure out how well E-Residency fits for creative businesses all around the world, especially music, because we have pretty many international music events taking place in Estonia, and also the community is very lively and international there. So today first of all, I will give you a short overview of what E-Residency is. So if you're interested, and then yes, indeed, we talk with Jess about how it actually works, or is, but probably maybe something is also not as expected. So we try to be as transparent and straightforward as possible. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. We decided that it would be great if you add your questions to chat, and then in cooperation with Jess, we can moderate probably and get some answers to it. Just maybe a few things I would like to point out. First of all, is that during the presentation, you may have some questions regarding taxes or something like this. I am not an expert in every detail regarding taxation or legal issues, so I probably am not able to give you 100% bulletproof answers regarding taxes accounting, but I know the general set of legal framework in Estonia. And also maybe one thing I would like to point out is that E-Residency works for businesses, also for music businesses that are aiming to have cross-border ambitions, or whose business is more like a cross-border. So probably if your business is situated with one physical location very much, and everything takes place in one place, and your artists are in the same place, and then it's probably even it may not be the best fit for you. But we'll talk about everything quite soon. So just three parts. First of all, I will give you the overview what e-residency is, who are accepted, what's the idea behind it, and also give you a bit of a background about Estonia as a business environment or ecosystem, and also how to start a company, and maybe some main things to cover, which probably are familiar for you, as you are probably already company owners in some other country, and then you have your own comparison moments then. And then we have this Emma Q&A. So I have this one picture here. In Estonia, it's quite usual that people do have one or several companies. I know that in many Western European countries, let's say that there is sole proprietor status, very common, or freelancer status, for example. For very small businesses, 1 or 2 person businesses, they rather operate as freelancers or autonomous in Spain, or however it's called. In Estonia, it is possible to be sole proprietor, but it's a big pain in the ass to actually make everything happen. And mostly, if there is someone who wants to do some kind of business, it's either music or producing something or consulting someone, then it's usually a private limited company that's done. And here are me and my co-founders in the incorporation meeting in the end of 2019 in one of my co-founders' home, where we sit around the table, and we decided to meet to agree main, framework, or main principles of the company that we are going to establish. So we decided the name, and that we shares are all even. So we have 4 founders, everyone gets 25% of the company, and so on, so on. It could have been also one email in Estonia usually, but we decided, as it's festive moment still, we decided to meet around the table. And this, why I show this picture is that this is the only time we met for deciding something that is related to company administration. So there are usually running Estonian company is done digitally, and you don't have to physically meet to sign something for each other, or even if you need to submit something for the state, is tax reports or whatever. So you don't have to go to somewhere physically or give signatures on paper. So this is exactly what we did. We just decided to meet because it was a big moment for us. But in general, usually companies are incorporated in Estonia online. It's about 15 minutes, and then you just wait for acceptance by the state. Anyway, just to give you, first of all, the clear understanding what e-residency is. Estonian E-Residency is a state-issued digital ID or digital identity that gives you an access to Estonian state services. So physically, nowadays, still it is a plastic card, like ID card. You probably all know how do they work. So it's a chip there, and you can use this card for signing digitally the documents. To verify yourself when entering to state systems, or even for third-party websites, because, like, for example, all the online banking and whatever kind of private services, majority of them also enable logging in with your state ID, because it has done technically very easy to implement it. And so basically, your digital identity is the tool that opens you the doors. And it's basically your digital key to do the business. And also, as e-residency has been around almost 10 years now, in December we are going to celebrate our 10th anniversary. Then there are, sorry? Okay. I heard something, sorry. So nowadays we have more than 116,000 e-residents that have created more than 30,000 companies in Estonia. So it's also a big global community. Whereas e-residency does not give physical access to Estonia. I think most of you, as you are mainly from Europe or from the UK, then traveling to Estonia is not a big problem for you. But if you are from the third country, then as even your digital ID card does not have the picture, it is not a travel document, or it does not give you any physical access to Estonia for shorter or longer time. So it's not a citizenship or visa or residence permit. It also does not change your personal tax residency. It means that if you are living in the UK, let's say, more than half a year in 1 year, then you are probably a tax resident of the UK, and you are still tax resident there, despite the fact that you have a company in Estonia or you are a resident of Estonia. And also it does not guarantee for your business or you as a person any bank account in Estonia. And that's the reality all the European entrepreneurs are facing in basically in every country in Europe. We'll talk about it later as well. So it's a digital access to Estonia. And why at all? We have done some research in the music sector as well, and also other creative sectors, and probably the main values that it creates for a small company from the music industry or from other creative industries is that basically company opening and the management is very easy. It does not take a lot of time to make everything in order, to comply with the rules that are set in Estonian state. So basically, getting started with your company is easy. So basically, first you apply for e-residency, and then once you get it, you can already open a company basically right away. So it's a minimum effort to open it and to run it. Nothing is on paper, so you do not have to come to Estonia, which I usually, of course, recommend, because we have a beautiful country and I think it's worth visiting. Or if you would like to have your board members meeting with yourself in a nice setting in Tallinn, then it could be also an option that you come there to make your business decisions. In some cases, it may be beneficial in terms of taxation. And you spend significantly less time on taxes and administering your, let's say, admin tasks or company everyday management. We have also some comparisons shown later. And also there is one tax advantage. As always, there are cases and clauses which you need to consider, but general rule of thumb is that in Estonian companies, corporate income tax is deferred. It means that you don't have to pay corporate income tax until you start paying out dividends. So there is no monthly or yearly corporate income tax for Estonian companies from Estonian state. However, if you have a permanent establishment in some other country, so it means that basically your active place of management and all the business takes place in other country, I don't know, Sweden, Finland, UK, then it may be that your local tax board would like to get some share of the revenue that comes to the company because they define it as a permanent establishment in the homeland. So this is the case where I need to say you that I'm not an expert to say which cases it is yes and which cases it's no. You need to talk to the tax experts. But generally, Estonian companies does not have to pay corporate income tax every year if they want to invest in the company or keep the money in the company and I don't know, grow, invest on new expanding to new markets and so on. So you can focus on your creative work or working actually with your artists. And what it gives, of course, is a location independence and basically lifestyle independence. I can say that if your way of living different from the usual 9 to 5, then this easily enables that, because although Estonian state agencies or state organizations still work from 8 till 9 or 8 till 5 or something like this, then you can submit whatever you need to or ask whatever you need to, whatever time it is, once you just log into your, let's say, state portal, tax portal, let's say, and submit your tax return 2 a.m. In the early morning, then that's okay. Your Estonian tax expert will review it next morning when he or she comes to work, for example. So, and as e-residency is built on digital identity and verifying and giving signatures digitally, it has to be trustful, and it has the EIDAS, which is the European highest trust and security level. So basically, it is proved that this is the most secure digital signing out there. And what is Estonian experience, as I mentioned in the beginning, that in our case, we usually tend to establish a company rather than become a freelancer or try to work the other ways. Then it empowers business owners. Also, like if you decide to have your international business through Estonian company, it makes you also eligible for applying for grants, for example, that are open in Estonia for, let's say, music managers or music initiatives, for example. Then you can basically compete with Emma if there's a case. I don't recommend that, but it's just the logic is that if there is some kind of support measure from Estonian state, then in most cases it's open for all the Estonian companies who are suitable for the certain grant, or like who meet all the criteria. It doesn't matter whether it's done by me, who am I living in Tallinn, or it's done by you who you are living, for example, let's say in Warsaw or wherever. But this is also like something to consider. And also, if you are outside of EU, then this is also a way to get an access to EU grants, Creative Europe support measures, and so on. And we have, of course, some examples as well. Probably we consider our best example in the music business, Cristel La Rosa. He has a music group dealing with licensing, managing, and also investing in music technology. He is actually from Argentina. He is based in Madrid, and his customers are in the US, Europe, and South America. And he runs all the businesses he has through e-residency in Estonia. And as he says as well, that it's probably the easiness or efficiency of getting things done that probably is the best argument for him. Some words about the rules. E-residency is granted for individuals. So let's say you would like to have a company in Estonia. First of all, you need to apply for e-residency. Only private persons can apply for e-residency. And it's given for you as a person. And then you as a person can establish a company in Estonia, or if you are several co-founders, it is strongly recommended that all of you become e-residents, because that way it is much easier to manage the company. If some of you are e-residents and some not, then it may still be that you need to use the notaries or send up still the documents to somewhere, for example. Well, there should be some interest in dealing with Estonia. By the way, if you're applying, there is a question about your motivation or your main interest. Why would you like to be Estonian e-resident? And there are no like right and wrong answers. There are like the main choice that's usually done is, of course, to start a business in Estonia, but it can be also cultural cooperation, which is kind of something that may be your case, or scientific cooperation and research. it doesn't mean that if you choose something else than business, then you get no. But it's good that you think through, like why do you think it's a good idea to become e-resident, and why do you really need a company in Estonia, or it's beneficial for your international business. So if you are somehow strongly related to Estonia, either as a resident or citizen, then you can't apply for e-residency. Then you can apply for Estonian documents. Then you are not you cannot apply as a Russian or Belarusian citizen. And it is open nowadays, most of the countries and citizenships, but we must say that it's not efficient and does not work for applicants from the FATF list countries, which is a internationally agreed list of countries where money laundering and terrorist financing avoidance is not taken seriously, let's say, put it that way. So as an example, maybe someone from Yemen would like to become an e-resident, then it is technically possible that he or she gets the e-residency, but in reality, it's almost impossible for the person from Yemen, let's say, to get business banking or any fintech account opened, and in that case, it's probably no use to have the company that way. But I think for most of you, it's still open, but it's always the case that every application is processed independently, and if Estonian police and border guard have their own markers which they follow. So how it works actually is that the application takes place online. So first of all, you fill in the application. It's around 30 minutes, maybe even quicker. You need to pay the state fee. You do not get it back if you get no, but most of the people get yes. It's a few percentage that get no. And you choose the pickup location. Where would you like to pick up your ID card? It is usually Estonian embassy. You need to wait for approval. If you get it, then you go to the embassy or the third-party pickup location. You have to give your fingerprints and the signature, and you get your card. And this is basically the only time you need to see Estonian official face-to-face. If you go there, take your photo ID with you, the one that you also mentioned in the application, give the fingerprints, you get your card, and basically then you can go use your computer for installing the necessary software and getting started with your company. So this is not the perfect map, but I can tell you that most of the countries in the EU are covered with our pickup locations. And we just recently announced some mobile pickup locations as well, where our Estonian Foreign Ministry representatives go to the locations regularly and hand out the cards. Basically, Europe is covered very well. There are 40 plus locations. And if you have restrictions in traveling to certain countries or to certain jurisdictions, keep in mind that the fact that you are going to pick up Estonian ID card does not guarantee you the access to the country. So this needs to be taken into account. Just maybe one thing I would like to share is that if you think of the business environment or the reasons why you probably think of Estonia as a place where to become a e-resident and start a company for the international business, is that indeed the time that you spend on getting started and administering the company. And if you consider the costs, then of course there are some other jurisdictions that are competitive as well. But I think that probably the row, the very last row, is something to think about. I know that it depends a lot where is your company, where are you, and also it depends on how much, I don't know, transactions you have or how many artists you are managing. but actually the time you spend on dealing with taxes and accounting is pretty small compared to many other countries. And that's probably thanks to the fact that the Estonian tax and accounting system is very straightforward and there are not too many exceptions. We are aware that, let's say, in Germany or in France or in some other bigger countries with more traditional way of building up the government system and also the more traditional way of running businesses, there are a lot of exceptions and traditions related to that. So this gives a huge advantage in terms of time you spend on filing taxes, and actually it also means that the money you need to spend on accountants is usually much less than other places. Yeah, I think the pink rows are the ones where we could consider ourselves to be strong ones. Also, minimum share capital is basically 1 euro cent. So you don't have to pay in thousands of euros to get started. And when you have decided that, okay, I would like to open a company in Estonia, then it usually works the way that you either do it independently, which I probably don't recommend much as a first timer in Estonia. The better version is to actually choose a service provider that can help you in registering your company. I will talk about service providers in the one of the next slides, but basically there are licensed service providers in Estonia that would provide you the services of company incorporation, and also they are going to be the contact persons of your company. We can also have a chat with Jess about it as well, because they have gone through this choosing process some time ago. And basically, you choose the service provider who helps you to get started. It's quite often the case that you basically don't have to log in or do anything in Estonian commercial register. You basically sign up yourself in the service provider's platform, and they do the preparation work for you, and you only log in for signing the final acceptance to get company opened. Usually, it is so that if you send out the company registration application in let's say on Monday, then it's usually accepted up and running on Tuesday. We are also holding the world record, which is 15 minutes and 33 seconds of company and establishment. But this is not the everyday life. But it's also quite common that if you apply in the morning, then you are accepted in the evening. Basically, it can be that way as well. So and then once you have your company up and running, then you can sign documents digitally, file everything you need to file for Estonian state. I don't know, submit the annual report, let's say, and use the help of the marketplace members that I'm going to talk about later. And then, of course, if you are lucky and a good manager, you probably would like to grow your business. Then there are the new aspects coming into life, like how to find funding, or are there any grants available for you, how to hire employees, and then also think of using the network benefits or the community effect of e-residence, because there are a lot of them all around Europe, especially in Europe. So I was talking about service providers. Service providers are the ones who help you to get started. We have our special dedicated landing page on our website. It's called E-Residency Marketplace. Well, it's basically a curated choice of service providers we dare to suggest you. And when I mentioned corporate service provider, it means that it's a licensed business by Estonian Financial Intelligence Unit. Not every random guy can provide that service, but they have gone through the due diligence, so they need to be compliant with the laws. So there is only one mandatory service for your Estonian business, is that if you are not in Estonia or not operating your company in Estonia, you need to have a contact person in Estonia. So if Estonian state would like to send you something on paper, which they rarely do, but can be, let's say, court documents, or let's say you you order a business banking card for yourself, debit card, and then it's usually sent for the official contact person address in Estonia. And then your contact person is responsible for receiving the documents or the materials sent to you and sending them for you wherever you actually are. So, but usually those contact persons are usually the same companies that are going to be your accounting partners. And also they are quite often able to provide some legal and tax advice, help you with administering the company. Let's say you need to add additional shareholders, or you would like to know what kind of grants are out there, or is there any chance to apply for some programs in Estonia, acceleration, let's say, then they are usually knowledgeable about it. And then in addition to corporate service providers from the marketplace, you can find also business banking options and the fintechs, legal and tax consultants, some business growth support companies as well. The main company type is OÜ, or it's basically private limited company. There can be one or several owners. And the shareholders' liability is limited, and you can register online. So for more micro enterprises, like most of you probably are, then this is the best option. But it can be also a non-profit organization like EMMA, or a public company or partnership, and some other options as well. So a small overview of costs. So E-Residency application fee is depending on the location where you will pick up your card. It's 100 to 120 euros. In Europe, it's mainly 100. Then a company registration fee is 265 euros plus a small service fee for the service provider. But as they are fighting in the market, then it's quite often that they basically are not asking any service fee just to get you on board as a customer for a first year, let's say. Then this contact person as a separate service is around 200 to 400 euros a year, but it is usually monthly payment, which is involved in the package. And usually in the same package, there is also some accounting and some business support by the service provider. So if you are more independent, are more happy to upload, let's say, your invoices to the service provider system yourself, and maybe spend a bit more time on administering the company. The costs are around 600 euros a year, the first year. But if you are looking for more accounting support, and you know that you are going to have a bigger business where you also need to register VAT, then it's around 1,200, 300 euros a year, the first year. Later, it depends on how many transactions you have. Just one thing, Estonia business environment is very transparent. So basically, you know what others are doing, others know what you are doing. It means that, for example, here, probably you don't see very well, but there is information about the same company that I just showed in the beginning we were creating in 2020. So all the information is from the public business register, and it's available for everyone. So you can see who are the shareholders, who owns how much, where are we registered, are we paying taxes, or we have any tax steps, what is the business, what is the industry we are operating in, do we have VAT number registered, and so on, so on. So there is no way to opt out from that. So if you register Estonia company, it is public information. It also means that sadly, there are going to be some email spam in your general email that you provide in the business register. This is the bad part, but the good part is that there is a lot of transparency. So if you ever have to have any business contact with Estonian companies, then you can go to commercial register and check, are they doing their business honestly, or they maybe haven't submitted annual reports for 3 years in a row. That's probably a red flag, for example, and so on, so on. So it's an efficient way of building trustworthy business environment. But we have to tell you that it hasn't been big of a problem for e-residents so far. And also the data like the really private data is kept very well in Estonia. Business banking options. I know that traditionally every person or every business would like to have a business bank account, but for e-residents, usually the main way to go is a fintech, where you can open account online. The choice is wide. They do not provide any credit services, but they cover basically most of the business needs you have, like payments, cards, and so on, so on. So like Wise, Revolut, Airwallex, Finom, and so on, so on. The other option is if you have already good connections with any of the banks in your home country, you can ask whether maybe they open also account for your Estonian company. And the third option is Estonian bank. But for Estonian bank, you need to first of all visit Estonia physically to get it opened. And the second, even bigger problem is that they really would like to see clear business ties to Estonia, which usually means that you either have a real estate in Estonia or people working for you in Estonia and so on. Probably I will skip this part. And the last thing I would like to point out is a few words about taxes. So tax regulations are very clear and not too many exceptions, easy to understand. Rates are rather low. No annual corporate income tax. But if you decide to distribute profits, it's 20% and 22% from the next year. Value-added tax is 22%. But there is a threshold of 40,000 euros a year. So if your revenue is under that, then it's not mandatory, but it can be useful for you depending on what you buy in for your company. And for online sellers, this OSS and IOSS regimes are also helping. But in your case, probably as you are exporting services, then this is not the case. And everything can be declared and submitted online, so you don't have to run to the tax office. And yes, Estonia has considered last 10 years to be the most competitive tax system in the world. And we do actually have a friendly tax authority, which means that if you don't know what to do, then just ask from Estonian tax authorities, and they are not sending you the fine, but they are sending you the answer how to deal with it. Yes. You get the slides later. Behind the QR code, there is a website where it's also possible to book a call with me, or you can find me in the LinkedIn or write me an email. We are actually currently pretty happy as we are still figuring out how to efficiently work with creative sector. So if you are more thorough interest in e-residency or Estonia, or you would like to maybe explain a bit more detail your business case, then we're happy to have a short call with you and talk about it as well. Thank you for now. Do we have any questions?
Well, I just want to address one quick thing. Just I think in terms of explaining who this is most relevant for. So anybody who is trying to set up an international business, maybe you're working with someone based in a different country, maybe you're working, maybe you're based outside of Europe, but you're really looking to do quite a lot of work within Europe, and it makes sense to have a company there. But I think especially if you're trying to collaborate internationally, and it can be difficult to register a company in one country where you might have someone based elsewhere that is also an owner of the company. And also, if you are doing European work, you want to access European funds, so registering your business in Estonia will help you have that. Obviously, with most European funds, you do need to show that you're benefiting Europe. So you can't just do it from somewhere else and not do that. But that's why, I mean, this is why we did it. And I just, I'll explain a little bit about how Emma's set up. Sorry, Raimo, I should have let you ask the question.
No, you can start.
I saw someone ask,
and
I think it's very relevant, but because anyone, it can be hard to see the business case for it if you can just register your company in your home country, regularly do everything. But If you do need other options, especially because the tax efficiency, just how easy it is, we found it very, very simple. And also because for tax efficiency, and because we needed to definitely have an EU registered country, registered business, and because everywhere else that we looked at registering, so we did compare it to the Netherlands, for instance, because we have a member in the Netherlands, so we thought that could make sense. However, we needed those that owned the company to be registered there in some way, and we're not. Therefore, it wasn't a plausible option for us. And also we needed somewhere that if we were going to do it in a third country, we would be able to not be there. We were able to do everything online. So Romeo showed you the map of where their offices are. It's all over the world. So we were able to just do the e-registry, show up at the consulate with our ID, with the fingerprint scan, and you're registered. It was very, very straightforward. We have a business partner. Sorry, what did you call them, Romeo?
We call them service providers.
Service providers. We have a service provider in Estonia who also does our taxes there. They're very, very straightforward to deal with, and we essentially just have to sign. So it's very, very easily looked after. They answer all our questions. They're very responsive, very reasonably priced, and our taxes are sorted as well. I have a UK company. It's a very comparable cost, if not cheaper, and this is for a bigger company. So yeah, I think it can make a lot of sense on many, many scales. And yeah, we had a couple of the owners of the organization were able to register as e-residents, so they were the owners, and then we just set up the company. We do all our banking through Wise. That was another thing, because a lot of the companies you set up in other countries need you to bank through local banks and banks that are registered there. And we weren't able to do that, but the Estonian registration allowed us to use Wise as an option, and we found that to be really, really straightforward. Again, easy to use, and yeah.
With business banking, I probably would like to comment is that we know that this is a very this is probably wherever we have a webinar or live event, this is always the questions that yes, but it is not possible to open a bank account in Estonia. That is not entirely true, but this is definitely difficult, and this is really what banks are aiming is basically that they have their own risk criteria, and they consider every foreign founder to be more risky for them than the local one. And sadly, this is not something that is very typical only for e-residents or for Estonia, but this is like globally trend that we see that whatever kind of KYCs that are done, or anti-money laundering and anti-terrorism financing measures are getting stricter and stricter every day for the whole banking sector in every place. So wherever you are in the country A and you would like to have a company in the country B, then it's Estonia, Netherlands, I don't know, Poland, then it's difficult everywhere. There are probably some countries in which it is easier than in others, but all in all, sadly, this is the reality. But indeed, also maybe worth mentioning that if you have a partner who says that they only pay you if your Estonian company sends the invoice with Estonian IBAN financial service provider, then this is actually called IBAN discrimination in Europe. So you cannot do that actually. So you are. I know that in some cases also state if you have the state let's say some kind of grant, and they say that okay, we only pay it out for, I don't know, UK IBAN for, let's say, then well, that's kind of we cannot do, but generally, like in private businesses, we know that big platforms are doing it, Amazon and so on. So it's a big problem. Wise is one of the 4 speakers of this IBAN discrimination problem, but in general, it is not allowed in Europe to do that. So if you can have in whatever kind of European economic zone country or IBAN, it should be okay. But in reality, we know that it's not always entirely that way.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, compared to some of the other organizations I've worked for on a pan-European level, and I've worked for a few, this setup has actually worked for us much better than the other ones, especially because of the banking element. I've not worked for another organization that hasn't needed someone on the ground in the country, and that's often become a problem, especially if it's not the main person making payments or something like that. For instance, having a card registered, if you've got a company registered in Belgium and you're banking in Belgium, and then one of your main people is in Poland and they're trying to pay over there, you can run into a lot of issues, even if it's just a lot of questions being asked and a lot of access being denied because they're worried about laundering and things like that, which has caused huge issues, and long delays in payments, long delays in invoice clearance. So I really, would. So there is a question about the cons here. So for us, I guess it's one of the challenges was that you need to keep up your e-residency. If you do not re-register, then you have to go through renew it, then you have to reapply and go through that whole process again, which is a little bit frustrating. So you have to pay close attention to the date at which your e-residency runs out. If your e-residency runs out, your company doesn't disappear or anything like that. You just have to reapply, but it's a slightly longer process. It's slightly frustrating to have to do that. So that was maybe one of our remarks in terms of the challenges, because that's a slightly unusual setup. That's not something I would have to do in my own country. But
yes, I have a question. I think you haven't used up your first 5-year period yet, or
yes,
do you
we have.
already? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it's so long, so old organization.
Yeah, we're so
okay.
old.
So yes, it's valid 5 years, and now I think you just reapplied just before we launched the new reapplying system, which is now like to some extent pre-filled. So we are getting better in that, so that the reapplying is going to be easier than the first applying, because actually Estonian state knows now more about you, also about your company and so on.
Exactly.
The case is also that if you applied, you got your yes, you opened the company, and then the 5 years are over and you need to reapply again, then this is not 100% guaranteed that you get accepted again. It means that, well, if you did not if you weren't careful enough, and that, let's say you didn't submit any annual reports, or you have backstepped to Estonian state, then it is likely that they say no the next time. At the same time, the debt will be still there and company is still there. So it's worth to keep eye on the fact that everything is in order.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that was the thing. We missed our e-residency renewal, and we had to reapply. But obviously we had kept our business like absolutely up to date through our service provider, like, because they were really on it. There was no issues. Never had to do anything in person. There's a question here.
May I ask, add one thing? If you like, I'm working for E-Resident, but I can give you also maybe some cons, just to
Sure.
be honest or transparent. If you try out Estonian company and it does not work out, then liquidation process takes much more time than opening. And it's kind of logical because Estonian state wants to be sure that you do not have debts to other companies as well, in addition to Estonian state. So there is a certain process for that. And it's around half a year, but most of the time you don't have to do anything. It's just the announcement period. There are several months of announcement period where your potential debtors can tell to Estonian, actually to liquidator, that this company owns money for me. So this is for that.
And that's the same. That's the same in the UK. I think that's the same in a lot of countries. So
but there is kind of expectation that if you can register it in one day, you can close it in one day, but it does not work that way. Sorry. And also, indeed, as I mentioned also in the beginning, that if you have very local business, even like in several cities, but the same country, and everything takes place in one place, then you probably don't get the tax benefits you are thinking of, because in that case, you're, I don't know, German, Dutch, UK, US tax board says that, hey, you have a permanent establishment here, you do everything here, please do pay taxes for us. I also saw that there are a couple of participants outside of Europe. Then in US, we have pickup location, but in South America, I saw someone, I guess by the flag, I saw that someone was probably from Paraguay or somewhere. Then in South America, we do not have a permanent pickup location, but the good news is that hopefully, fingers crossed, in autumn or in the end of the year, we are reopening our Sao Paulo pickup location as a as the recurring location where police and border guard representative goes there after every, I don't know, 2 months, let's say. And also, I think the final decision will be either Buenos Aires or Mexico City. But currently, it usually works that way, that people from South America either fly to US or to Madrid to pick up the cards. And also, we have only one pickup location in Africa, which is Egypt. But we are well covered in Asia. Basically, all the big capitals are covered.
Of course, yeah, that's a big drawback if you're in a country that doesn't have it. There's a question here about the fintech bank's ability to deposit cash. This isn't, unfortunately, a bank. We're not banking experts. We don't deposit cash as Emma. I don't know, Romeo.
Some like you pay in cash.
You can put money in your bank account through cash. Through the fintech banks.
I haven't heard, yes. They usually don't do that because they don't have even like the physical presence for customers to step in, or even the ATMs. They are usually, like Revolut does not have their own ATMs. They use the cross use the others. I think no.
But you can look at options. So some banks are happy to open that are based near you or have branches all over Europe. Some of them will happily open a business bank account for your Estonian business as well. For us, it just made sense to use Wise, but I would have a couple of options in the UK.
Yes,
it's something to look into.
In our marketplace, there is also a selection. Wise is the most popular one. The next one is probably Payoneer, but we are onboarding also Revolut to our partner list. And then Phenom is growing fast. It's I think originally from Germany or from Netherlands. Several Lithuanian ones that are quite open for businesses all around the world, as well as some Nordic ones. So the choice is pretty wide. And if you would like to find a fintech that gives you Estonian IBAN, then Airwallex theoretically does, but they have very strict rules who they accept as customers. So you can try, but I'm not so sure whether they onboard right now or not. But there are some fintechs who have Estonian IBAN as well. And yeah, we are onboarding like GuavaPay also from the UK quite soon.
So yeah, it really, there are options. It's just important to look at what banking Whilst you're looking at the e-residency, looking at the banking option that works for you as well, so that those two things are paired and make a lot of sense. Again, you kind of have to do that with any business that you start. It's really important to look at your banking options. So hopefully that's a good point within that. I don't think I have any other questions, but does anyone?
I have a question for you.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's go.
So a couple of ones.
I think if anyone has a question, pop them.
Yeah. Just
we'll
post it.
them.
I have a question regarding the service providers. Like, what were the criterias, or how did you choose it, or how did you end up with the one that you chose? And have you changed it throughout the 5 years?
No, we've never changed it because we've never had an issue with them. We chose Thompson & Stein for anyone who's interested. And we've never changed it. It was a recommendation from someone else. So we really based it on that. And also price point, like it made a lot of sense. And yeah, since we started, I just want to point out, since we started at the e-residency, we also have supported other organizations, especially European focused organizations, in registering because they were struggling with the same things. They were struggling with working out the options. Anyway, Raimo, do you have another question?
Yeah, I just maybe wanted to comment about service providers. Like, we can say that there are two types of service providers. That are ones which we can say are giving you the better price packaged service, but they expect you to be more independent. So you do more, you used automated tools. AI is very widely used by the service providers that are building their services as platforms. But you have to be more independent. But at the same time, the prices are pretty affordable. And then there are others. I think the Thompson & Stein is somewhere in between, maybe even more like this more custom-made one. But then the other option is to choose the service provider whose selection of services is maybe more custom-made, or their packages are a bit more expensive, but they also involve more. And maybe you have also, let's say, personal accountant. So if you have questions, with certain person with name and a face, is answering to your questions. With those automated platform kind of service providers, there is a pool of accountants who do the tasks, but you don't have maybe the personal accountant, So this is like, depending on your business, your needs, and how comfortable you feel in, I don't know, uploading your own invoices, for example, and so on. So this is probably main criteria how to choose. That's my recommendation. Like, if you are okay, you want the cheap option, but they're always there to help you, this is one way. But if you want someone who also maybe gives you some business growth support, or like actually figures out some more difficult things in Estonia, or I don't know, if you need a partner in Estonia or would like to apply for some grants in Estonia, then they do some research for you, then this is a different kind of pricing.
Additional, yeah. Yeah, our service provider does all of our accounting. So we have like a slightly personalized version of exactly what we need. And because we're a nonprofit, like it's still very straightforward, but it's an extra layer of, I guess. There's a couple more questions about being a nonprofit. So yeah.
I have maybe one more question. As you said, you have also company in UK or somewhere, indeed, and probably also other founders of Emma have. How much time, attention, energy you need to put on administering the company in Estonia compared to others, like whether like our research and the experience in saying that it takes less time and it's more hassle-free compared to other places. Is it really so, or how do you feel?
I would say that it's very, very straightforward. But so is the UK system in terms of I pay an accountant. I have there's a few small tasks you have to do each year, confirmation statement, everything like that. And I have to file and have to, you know, control the business, keep control of finances in the same way. It's not super different, but it is the fact that you don't pay corporation tax until you are taking out dividends is a huge difference. So that could work, and also being based in the EU is another huge difference. So for me.
Okay. Have you used probably, okay, in your case, it's NGO. So you have also used taken advantage of the fact that it makes you eligible for applying for grants from the EU.
Yes, exactly. And that's been absolutely vital to our organization. And also, like, it might even be that you don't want to lead on a grant, maybe a co-op grant or something like that from the EU, but just being registered within the EU makes you eligible. It might be that you just want to be a partner on one that someone else is doing. So it allows you access to do that, which is absolutely amazing. Especially, you know, if you are in the same situation as we are.
Okay.
In the UK.
So,
I'm sorry, I just want to point out that we're just a little bit over, so we'll be wrapping up any second. But
so yeah, I'm thinking if anyone has another question, you can post it. But otherwise, I would say that I will send the slides. You are more than welcome to investigate independently also from the landing page what we have done, how it works. But I encourage you to contact me, or if I do not have enough time to book a call with you, then maybe some of my colleagues. So we are doing sometimes that kind of like one-on-one support to some extent. It means that to have maybe an initial consultation call or ask something. So as I said, people in our team are not the tax experts. So if you have very detailed question about, like, I don't know, VAT, for example, then probably I'm not good at answering for everything. But in wider terms, in Estonian E-Residency team, most of us do have companies, have been in the business, have been startup founders. So basically, we have practical experience in running businesses in Estonia, also international ones. So we can always share our own experience in that. And also probably people from EMA are able to help you. So we would be super happy if you are read more, ask more, contact us. If you find it useful for you, then we encourage you to apply for e-residency and sign up. We are, of course, participating quite often in events all around Europe. So currently, our biggest focus markets are UK, Spain, Germany, and Ukraine. These are the places where we go physically the most. So if you want to, I don't know, go to some e-residency related event or seminar or workshop somewhere, then check our website. There is event calendar in these countries. We have local, basically, team members who are responsible for the company, for the markets, and also currently it seems that we still participate in some bigger music events this year as well. So we were in Eurosonic and the Italian Music Week, and let's see what happens in autumn as well. So thank you for joining in here. It is already pretty evening time. So
yes,
thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. And yeah, if you have any questions, then do reach out. There'll be a short questionnaire once you leave the session. Please do fill it in. It really helps us. So yes. Thank you, and have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you, and have a nice evening.